So, vamos a empezar con dos cosas. Mi nombre sí es Dana Montenegro y yo sé que muchos de ustedes están pensando, él tiene nombre de nena. Wow. I wonder if he knows he has a girl's name. Sí, yo sé, porque yo recibo carta que dice la señorita Dana Montenegro. Yo y mi esposa son el primer gay couple legal en Puerto Rico porque todo lo que viene dice la señora Dana Montenegro y la señora Angela Torre. So, we got that out of the way. También bien obvio a este punto, yo tengo español pateado. Yo aprendí todo mi español en Willy's Pinchos. Yo soy de las Islas Vírgenes. What else can I tell you? Well, let me tell you, this is my office. So when you heard moi talking about creative space for innovation, I very much believe in that. Este es Ciudadela, we love Santurce, just so you know, right? Y nosotros tenemos un innovation strategy and experience design company. So we have about 10 years of experience in getting organizations unstuck. And what makes us different is, in most part, because we look at business as kindergarten. We think you did your best thinking in kindergarten. You did your best collaboration in kindergarten. And we know that businesses can be creative and innovative again. So we use process and methodology, but we also use a high level of creativity and imagination to get companies going. Y los servicios que nosotros enfoque toda esta creatividad are things like this. We do strategy innovation, we do experience and service design, but in all the things we do, at the core of it is an appreciation for individual creativity, right? When we're helping companies be innovative, we always say we're the Sherpa, right? Everyone knows Sir Edmund Hillary. He's the guy who made it to the top of Everest first, right? Well, people would like to think that he made it there by himself, but he had his Sherpa with him. Sherpa basically makes sure you don't fall off the mountain and fucking die, right? So that's us when it comes to innovation. We know companies want to innovate, but they often need a helping hand around it. And the work that we do, it looks like this. By the way, is anyone here from 3M? 3M? No, the people who make Post-it notes? We love your product, right? We use your product heavily, right? So our work probably looks a little bit like a kindergarten classroom. It looks like a lot of markers, a lot of Post-it notes, a lot of Play-Doh, but we know this is how innovation really, really happens, right? So, and where this stress comes from is before my wife and I started Seriously Creative, I was the driver of culture, innovation, inspiration for Red Bull energy drink. And my job started with a conversation with the owner of Red Bull, and this is what he said. He says, we must do what other brands cannot imagine. And that's the goal of Red Bull. The goal of Red Bull isn't just to outdo its competitors. It's not just to be noticed as kind of cool and fun. It's to be the first, always, anywhere in the world, doing things that people look at and go, what the fuck are they thinking, right? So that was my job. My job was WTF, make it happen, right? So when you think of that, you think of a lot of crazy stuff. The last project I worked on before I left Red Bull was this. How many of you saw Felix Baumgartner jump from space, right? The man jumps from space. Well, let me tell you a little bit about that idea. That idea started at 2 o'clock in the morning in Salzburg, Austria. 6 of us are sitting in a little bar in Salzburg, and have anyone been to Austria? No, right? So they have this stuff called schnapps. It's a lot like Pitoro. And they drink a god's amount of that stuff, right? And at 2 in the morning, you're knocking these things back. I am not going to say that anyone was sober in that meeting. But someone eventually said, I wonder if Felix Baumgartner could jump from space. Ha, 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 very stupid, very funny. But my job was to take those kind of ideas back to my boss, the owner of Red Bull. So the next day, I go with 2 other people, and I say what you're never supposed to say to your boss. We got this idea. We don't know if it's going to work, but we're going to need a few $1 million, right? And in most companies, your boss would go, well, I don't know if you really fit with our culture, right? But in Red Bull, and by the way, Dietrich Mateschitz, the owner of Red Bull, he sounds just like Arnold Schwarzenegger because they grew up in the same town, right? And they're friends, right? He goes, yeah, this idea. this idea is stupid. I think I like it. You will do this idea, right? So he gives us a little bit of money to start working on the product. 5 years later, he finally jumps, with a little help from NASA, by the way. But that wasn't the only kind of innovation we were working on. I worked on new verticals. So Red Bull Media House, you may not know this, but Red Bull Media House produces more content in the extreme sports and lifestyle world than ESPN or any other station combined, and it actually makes more money than Red Bull, the drink company, today, right? We created Red Bull Records in order to create new partnership and new platforms for people. Red Bull Bulletin, which in the publishing world, this magazine makes money, right? And it was produced by Red Bull. And even new products, like Red Bull Cola, another product called Kombucha, Carpe Diem. And that's not where my job stopped, because as the driver of culture, innovation, and inspiration, my job was to keep the culture healthy and to make sure that we knew how to innovate all the time. So we were doing things like rewards for the best failures. I gave a 10,000 euro award every year to the person who had the greatest fuck up in the company. Right? But it had to be a brave fuck up. We used to hold funerals for projects that someone finally said, no, that's never going to work. Let's kill that. And we'd hold a funeral with a casket. By the way, the casket opened up, and there was always vodka and Red Bull inside, and a big cooler kit. But it was through these kind of things that we kept a company that was already highly creative, highly innovative, constantly on the edge. Because every company starts to lose that instinct that they started as a startup. They lose as they grow, because the rest of your day is taken over by meetings and emails and reports, right? And all kind of deliverables. So we're practitioners in what we call business as unusual. We do practical, real-world, customer-centric, and value-adding innovation. We're not theorists in innovation. This is what we do. This is our business, right? So we've done it on the side of actually being inside the company, and today we do it on the side of being the word I hate, consultant, right? We hate using that word, right? But whatever. And our form of innovation really comes from something a lot of people are seeing more and more often. How many of you have heard of design thinking? Raise your hand. Design thinking, design thinking, design. Woo, a whole lot of you, right? About 2 years ago, I would have asked that same question. There have been 3 people in the room with their hands up. Well, design thinking is a way of approaching innovation. And we like to think of it as innovation by design. Designers have this very unique way of bringing together both the logical and the creative side of things. And these are the kind of companies that have invested themselves in this very human-centric way of delivering value to consumers and to changing the company. So in Red Bull, we were already doing this. And we also understood, and this is something very true to design thinking, it understands that every company is trying to look at 3 things: viable, desirable, and feasible. Feasible is, can you do it? Do you have the technology and the people to do it? Viable is, will it make money? But that's usually where most companies stop the conversation. The desirable, does the consumer actually want it? Do they need it? And you heard people on the stage today say, you have to stay close to the needs of your customer, right? And so we understand it as this. Every company needs to learn this. We're very good at doing the logical. Every company values people who are analytical, procedural. That's business normal. But you have to bring into that the imaginative, the adaptive, the creative normal. And at that intersection is what we call idea engineering, our way of approaching it. So we take design thinking, agile, service and experiment design, system learning, and lean, which you heard about a little bit here. And we bring a lot of the best practices of those to help companies innovate. And one good way to really imagine I'm going to skip past that, is this. How many of you know, whoops, went too far. How many of you know Star Trek? Star Trek? Okay, who's the guy on the far side of the screen right now? Spock, right? Spock, right? What is Spock like? Huh? He's logical, he's analytical, he makes very good, solid decisions. And that we do a lot of in business. Now, if you let Spock run the ship by himself, what would happen? They'd never go anywhere. They'd be very safe, they'd make very good decisions, but they wouldn't do anything new. Now, who's the other guy on the other side of the screen? Kirk, right? What is Kirk? He's the captain, but he's the creative. He takes chances. He goes with his gut, right? and he brings this creative element to the bridge of the ship. Now, if you let Kirk run the ship by himself, and you see this in the movies, he's going to fuck it up, right? There's going to be a problem, right? He's going to go a little bit too far. But when you put the two of them together, this logical, analytical side, and you bring this creative side together, suddenly you have magic. They do great things, and businesses need to do this, is to bring the creative side to the logical side we probably have already nurtured a lot. So we have a lot of values in the way we do our innovation. We're very human-centric. We're looking at the consumer, and that doesn't mean focus groups and surveys. Go deep with your consumers. We're radically collaborative. We believe in pulling people from across organizations, not just one department. We believe in experimentation to learn. You have to go out and try in order to be brave enough to decide to do something. You got to co-create with your users. Don't just build up something and then launch it into the world and expect them to love it. Do it with them. We believe in making things visual. We believe people understand ideas when they're writing them on Post-it notes and drawing and using all the skills of kindergarten. And we have a bias towards action. If you don't know what to do next, do something, because most companies don't innovate because they're too afraid to take the next step, right? So we know there's this big area between that high thing of strategy and leadership and innovation and the practical of like doing some kind of training. In between that, there's massive decisions to be made. And this is what scares companies when we're talking about innovation. But at its core, when we talk about why innovation happens in a company, for nothing less, the gravity of innovation is creative confidence. And if you're going to go to conquer space, you need brave astronauts. Astronauts are the entrepreneurs of any organization, and you have to foster them. But most astronauts are too afraid to get on the ship because they have the fear. I'm going to look stupid. My credibility is going to be damaged. I'm going to break something in the organization. Or a lot of managers don't want to invest in innovation because they're afraid of losing control, right? The cure for this is creative confidence, right? Innovation's gravity is you have to have, for all the structure you can make around innovation, for all the investments you make, you need to let your people be creative again. And why I say again is because everyone's born creative. In fact, it's the only intelligence you have when you're born. And when they do tests on kids up to the age 6, 98% of them are creative geniuses. But school crushes that out of us. But we can recapture it. And in saying that, I'm going to actually get us to start doing something about it, right? So now you are all going to be innovators and entrepreneurs. You are going to start working together, right? This is going to be very interactive. Now, I know that scares some of you because now you need to talk to strangers at your table. You need to do something. You don't know exactly what to do. Am I going to mess it up? Am I going to look stupid? Oh, my God, my boss is here too. Forget all of that. You're going to work now, right? So this is what you're going to do. This is called the Paperclip Challenge. On your desk, on most of the tables, there is a manila folder. Hold it up. Someone hold it up on your table. Yes, manila folder, manila folder, manila folder, right? If you're in the real back, you need to join another team, right? Go ahead, open it up and look at the stuff that's inside of it. Open it up and pour it out on that white piece of paper that you have. By the way, you just got invited to a team. Look at the people who are sitting on your table. Look to the left. Look to the right. That is now your team. Say hello to your teammates. Shake hands. Shake hands with the people who are at your table, right? If you need to pull other tables into your table, go ahead and do it. So let me tell you the very first thing that allows for creative confidence, right? The very first thing you need to know about creative confidence is if you want people to be creative confident, you need to give them a path, a methodology. Ours is idea engineering. It says you have to investigate before you come up with ideas. Once you have ideas, you have to experiment and play with them. And once you've decided on them, you have to activate them and put them in the world. Yes? Okay, we're going to run you through three little experiments as you do your challenge. This is what you're going to do first. First step, attention right here. I want you to know before you go. What do I mean is, I want you to learn something about paper clips. Because I know you all think Fuck, I'm an expert in paper clips. I've been using paper clips forever, right? I don't care about your expertise. I want you and your team to take a minute to discuss what is a paper tip? How is it? What are its properties? What is it made of? What does it look like? How do you use it, right? I want you to explore the paperclip as if you're an alien to Earth. You've never seen a paperclip before. I want you to look at it fresh for the first time in your life and discuss with your neighbors really quickly. None of this like, well, I think. No, speak quick. You have 1 minute to discuss paper clips, how you've used them, what they are, what they're made out of. Go! 1 minute, go! Talk on your team. Yeah, I know that's a bad sound, huh? Right? Okay, attention right here. You probably knew a lot about paper clips, but maybe someone on your team says, well, they're bendable. Well, they're shiny, and they're actually kind of pretty. Oh, they can come in colors. Great. You now know more about the thing you have than you knew when you started, right? First thing done. The next thing I want you to do is to create possibilities before making decisions. I want you in a moment to suspend judgment and create a new abundance of possible solutions, no matter how far out there they are. Because that's really what creativity and value creation is about, right? Finding new possibilities. In a moment, you're going to capture a ton of ideas on Post-it notes, but not yet. Why? Because we're going to do a little creative warm-up. I'm going to prove to you that you're creative, right? The first assignment you need to do is there's pieces of paper on your table with a bunch of circles on it, right? It's probably underneath the big white cartulina. Lift it up and give everyone on your team a piece of that paper. The piece of paper with a bunch of circles on it, around, 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 somewhere on the table. Is there a table that, raise your hand if you don't have those sheets of paper. These people right here need some, right? Right there, right? Okay, so turn that piece of paper over to the blank side. Turn it over to the blank side. And I want you to do something for me. Find a partner on your team. One partner. I want you to look them in the eyes. Look them in the eyes like you met on Tinder, but this was a relationship meant to be, right? And I want you to draw them. I want you to draw them without looking at your paper. Draw your partner without looking at your paper. You have 1 minute. Go. Don't look at your paper. Look at your partner. You're in love. Draw your partner. Come on. Okay, stop. Hold up your image. Hold it up. Hold it up. Let's see. Let's see. Hold it up. Hold it up. Now show it to your partner. Show it to your partner. Perfect. Put him down. Put him down. Okay, atención por acá. Why? The first thing that we always hear when we do that is people laughing. And how many people did you hear your partner say, perdón, perdón, sorry, 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 right? But if this was a classroom full of first graders, there'd be no laughing and no one would say they were sorry. Why? Because they're not ashamed of their creativity. No one asked you to be Picasso or Van Gogh. Your creativity is your creativity. Kids know that. Kids know to be daring and not to be ashamed of their creativity. But somehow, someone taught us to be ashamed of it, right? So the first thing you know now is you are creative. Now, are you a master artist? No. But you have the ability to create because it's right there on that sheet of paper. Second warm-up. Turn your piece of paper over to all the circles. Now, I want you to look at these circles. And I want you to imagine you could convert these circles. I want you in a moment, when I say go, don't go yet, don't cheat. I want you to convert these circles into recognizable things. So, por ejemplo, de un círculo a un smiley face es obvio, right? Pero un círculo también puede ser un tennis ball. Por ejemplo, I am giving you, how long am I giving you? I'm giving you 30 seconds to get as many of those done. Let's see who can convert the most circles into recognizable objects fast. Go, 30 seconds. As many objects as you can create in 30 seconds. Go, 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 go. Turn them into things. Starting with a circle, make them into things. You got 10 more seconds. Go. This is a race. We're looking for who's going to come up with the most. Stop. Count up your circles. I want to know who has more than 10. Those people are going to raise their hand. We got one person with 10, at least 10. At least 10 here too. Who else? Over there, 10. Anyone else who has 10? Anyone have 12? 12? 12? 12 right here? Alguien más has 12 or more. Anyone? This guy's the winner. Stand up, please, sir. Stand up. Round of applause. So take a look at these ideas right here. What do you see? One, what were the obvious things? What were obvious things? Balls, right? Fruits. But what about the snowman? How many of you there we go. How many of you connected more than one thing? Right? Pejuelos, bicycle wheels, right? This is how creativity works. You can extend one idea. You can do baseball, basketball, tennis ball. You can go divergently or you can connect things. Creativity is about exploring possibilities without worrying if you have the right answer yet, right? So with that said, why did I have you do that? Because it demonstrates one of the keys of creative confidence. And it's the difference between divergent thinking and convergent thinking. Convergent is what we're used to. We're asked every day to make decisions. And we got to make that decision really, really quickly. And the higher up you go in an organization, the more decisions come your way. So we're constantly in this analyze and choose mode. But when you're looking for new ideas, when you're trying to do new things, you need to look at the things you don't normally look at. And that's divergent thinking. The brain has the ability to do this. But somewhere around third grade, your teachers start messing with you. And they start making you do these awful things like, okay, who knows how much is 15 divided by 5? First kid with their hand up with the one right answer, 3. Right, gets rewarded. But if some kid has a question, sees the problem in a different way, right, those kids are not rewarded. You're pushed out of being divergent and you're forced to think convergently, right? So divergent is about forget if you have the best or the right or the good idea. It's about coming up with as much stuff as you can so that later you can look at better stuff. A good way to think about it is like launching rockets. Launching rockets is about divergent thinking is like all that energy that goes into getting a rocket off the ground. It's looking at a whole lot of stuff. Everything you can possibly do. It's throwing yourself into ideation. Then you can explore lots of ideas. This is interesting. This is interesting. Oh, wow, what if we did something with this? Convergent is when you have to land the craft. You have to be smart, you have to choose the right things, you have to hit the target. But if you don't first invest in being divergent, you never make it to the moon, right? So with that said, this is what divergent looks like. It looks like Post-it notes. So now on your team, I have the challenge for you. There's lots of Post-it notes and Sharpies around you. What I need you to do as a team is divide up the Post-it notes, and you're going to write, everyone on your team will start writing one idea per Post-it note. You're going to write only in Sharpie if you can. If you have a Sharpie, use a Sharpie for sure. And I want you to write just the basics of ideas for this challenge. I want your team is competing against the other teams to come up with great new ideas to create new value out of Post-it notes. Why? Because the paper company has invented a way that pieces of paper can stick together at the corners, so no one needs Post-it notes. No one needs paper clips to put paper together anymore. And you, on your team, have to invent a new use for the world's supply of paper clips. So, as a team, start writing as many ideas as you can for new uses for paper clips. You have 3 minutes to come up with as many ideas as possible. So start writing. Come up with crazy ideas, funny ideas, good ideas, bad ideas. Go. As a team, start writing. Tell your partners what you're writing. Ideas para usar paper clips en nuevas maneras. New value for paper clips. Go. Música. Un poco de música. Put both your hands up in the air. Both hands up, both hands up. Everyone, both hands up, both hands up. Now I want to hear you say, I surrender to my creativity. Say it. All right. Okay, so you have all those ideas there. And we just gave you little stickers. Cada persona en su equipo tiene 2 votos. Vas a votar usando los stickers. So you take your 2 stickers and you put them on whichever Post-it note you like. Pero yo quiero que ustedes estén buscando ideas que son nuevas, interesantes. Maybe they solve a problem. They add value, but go for the bold things that you and your team are going to create your organization around, okay? Tienes 2 minutos para encontrar your winning idea, the idea you really, really like as a team, que ustedes quieren evolve. You want to evolve that idea, okay? So, a votar. Cada persona en su equipo tiene 2 stickers. Y cada persona vota independiente de lo resto. No. How are you going to develop it? Turn your cartulina over, and I need you to create a prototype. Your prototype can be a storyboard, and add an image for this new idea. It has to be something you can hold up, and you need to have a 30-second pitch to sell your idea to another team. Tienes 4 minutos para dibujar and create your pitch. 4 minutes. Go. Tiene 1 minuto más para dibujar y preparar su pitch. Get that pitch ready, make it visual, make it work. People are taking photos of them. Okay, stop. I need to know now which 3 teams feel like their idea is so good that they have to pitch it. Okay, so the first 3 teams to be standing on the stage with their thing get to pitch. Go. You got to be on the stage with your thing. 1, 2, 3. We'll let a 4th on. 4th. 5. Okay, that's it. Okay, so right here, you have 30 seconds. Su atención por acá, 30 segundos. Go.
Pues cuando vamos a comer mazorca, ¿verdad? Que se hace como un revolú, un reguero. Pues ahora está el nuevo agarra mazorca. Y aparte de eso, pues si no te gusta comerte las alitas o el pollo, también lo pinchas con el agarra mazorca y te sirve para luego limpiarte los dientes cuando se queden los maíz en los dientes.
Próximo, go, go, go.
Les queremos presentar el nuevo proyecto del Fideicomiso de Ciencia, se llama Clipcoin, es la nueva moneda cryptocurrency, inspirada en el Bitcoin. Ya definimos todo el valor de los diferentes colores de clips y tiene muchas características que lo hacen una buena moneda, así que empiecen a darnos el dinero que vamos a tener en el banco en el Fideicomiso.
¡Hey!
Nuestro producto se llama el Neck Clip y está diseñado para todos aquellos hombres que siempre estamos botando las chapitas plásticas del cuello. Pues con esto sustituimos ese plastiquito y nuestro cuello siempre va a quedar fit.
Hello, ¿se escucha? Sí. Pues nosotros le decimos, se llama el Color Clip porque pues va a sustituir los botones y va according a tu estilo y pues si eres gordito pues te puedes comprar la camisa del size que tú quieres y te va a servir, tú sabes. Te pones un undershirt y ya está, se acabó. Ese nuestro spokesperson es Daddy Yankee porque el anuncio va ahí como que de abajo hacia arriba y que salga sonrisa de Yankee pues va a ser despacito.
Próximo.
Nosotras vamos a tener cartera a la venta.
All right.
Cliperas. Disponible en la Loíza. Cliperas, carteras.
Okay, more industrial. We are going to take the world supply of paper clips. We're going to forge them, melt them and forge them. We're going to create raw material to create any sort of heavy industry.
All right.
A todos, mi compañera va a explicar lo que es el clip tit.
Bueno, fueron y compraron las chicas aquel brasier que tanto les fascinó, pero nos compraron también las donitas, así que pues ya no nos sirve, pues entonces con este tipo de material podemos hacer unas extensiones para que ahora atrás nos amarre bien. Sin embargo, se nos salieron los alambres también del área de la parte de abajo y le hacemos el refuerzo estructural. Eso...
All right. ¿Quién falta? ¿Quién falta? Un equipo de atrás.
Nosotros tenemos un producto un poco seasonal, solamente para Navidad y Thanksgiving, cuando uno no sabe cuándo para comer. Entonces, esto te deja expandir tu suéter o brazos para ese relleno extra. El Expanding Clip, $19.99.
¿Quién falta? Anyone.
Bueno, nosotras creemos que las mujeres somos mujeres maravillas, ¿verdad? Así que nosotros creamos el Wonder Clip. ¿Para qué sirve esto? Para nosotras cambiar de un ambiente a otro. Muchas de nosotras tenemos cami y tenemos chaquetas y nos queremos cambiar por la tarde para ir a una actividad más sport. Pues este Wonder Clip lo que hace es que te ayuda con el brasier, lo unes y puedes utilizar tu cami y sin enseñar el brasier. Así que Wonder Woman, Wonder Clip.
All right. Faltan, nadie.
Buenas, pues nosotros tenemos lo nuevo en la moda, lo vamos a estar vendiendo en el bus de Imprende. Tenemos lo que son los nuevos brasieles, los brazaletes. Brazaletes. Pórtense bien, estamos en control. También tenemos las nuevas pantallas que están de moda, ¿sí? Y las sortijas también, para cuando se quieran comprometer, pues esta es una mucho más económica, ¿no? Con solamente $1.99 ya puede estar en la moda, ¿está bien? Vamos a estar en el bus de allá atrás en confianza. Muchas gracias.
Gracias. So appreciation can make a day, even change your life. Your willingness to put it into words is all that's necessary. A round of applause for all of you. By the way, mi esposa dice que, because, she says, oh, it's going to be a professional event, you have to wear a jacket. I never do this. She tells me I'm not allowed to take it off, so none of you are going to tell, right? So, whoops. Bring it back up. There we go. Okay, so congratulations. You've just been entrepreneurs, and you've just conquered an issue with creative confidence, which one of those issues is just doing it. Without having all the information, without knowing what you're doing, the willingness to just jump in is half the battle, right? So let's get back to innovation really quickly, because that's what this conference is about. Innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower, says Steve Jobs. But innovation's hard. Innovation is like trying to catch lightning, right? It requires that you still, when you're a business, you have to execute the business of today. Mantener el tren on the tracks. Y también you have to deliver tomorrow. And these two skills are in conflict always. And you heard the panel talking about this. Como un startup has one single focus, but a business has multiple. And it's hard to stay on track with the innovation when you still got to deliver the numbers. It's like this. This is how one of my clients explains it. He says, trying to be innovative and run the company at the same time is like trying to change the tire on the car while the car's running, right? And he says, this is what you have to be able to do. And it takes a lot of things. You've got to get process right. You've got to create processes around the business. Leadership has to be bought in. And you heard all this stuff earlier. You heard about the importance of space, and you see it up there, and about culture. But creative confidence is at the very middle of that. And it touches every part of what innovation is. It touches your strategy, it touches your insight engine, your customer-centric focus, and that culture of ideas. It is at the heart of, you can do all you want and invest as much as you want in innovation, but if you don't allow your people to recapture that creative spark, it often goes nowhere, right? So creative confidence allows us to unleash all of that potential, all that innovation possibility that's trapped inside our best resource in any company, which is people. People make ideas happen, and they just need to be given permission to be creative again, right? So what are some of the things that you do? We already told you. Let people be divergent first. Don't force them to have to give you the answer, the convergent from the beginning. Allow them to come up with many things and to explore those things first, right? Live by what we call the design principles. The design principles start with being radically collaborative. Y Graciela Eleta said it very good. She says you got to pull people from across the organization. You can't just have the same people in the room all the time. You have to iterate through process. It's never going to be a straight line. You're always going to be all over the place. You have to suspend judgment, which is about allowing people, don't judge ideas too early. Porque cualquier idea in its early stages is a piece of crap, but you develop it into something great over time. You have to show and tell stories. Ideas cannot be understood through metrics alone, because if you could understand it through metrics, it's probably an idea that's already been done. New ideas don't have a whole lot of metrics. They have some faith, and you get people to understand them through stories and showing them what the idea is. Be human-centric. Evolve your business not around your product. Evolve it around the people you have to sell to. This is a massive change. In any service industry, if you're in banking, if you're in healthcare, you are in the business of service, and you need to understand your consumer far beyond any report or any focus group will ever tell you. You have to live and breathe them. If you don't have massive posters of your actual consumers on the walls of your business, but instead have all the awards you've won, you've got the wrong focus, right? Prototype to learn. Prototyping allows people to take risks in small steps so they don't have to risk the whole company all up front. Prototyping is not piloting. Piloting is to prove that you were right. Prototyping is to see, could you be wrong before you fail the company? And the last one is bias towards action. You have to be willing to go and move fast. So it also needs process. We just showed you the process, right? You can't solve a problem unless you understand it deeply first. Great ideas are not the beginning of innovation. Insights are. The more you spend time understanding the market, trends, new technologies, and your consumer, the more readily your brain will come up with the new ideas. Then it's about coming up and designing the ideas. And once you have good ideas, you have to work them out through experimentation. And finally, you have to make them work. You have to activate them. But that's a trajectory businesses need to follow. And finally, the best way to get started is to run sprints. So you heard Ripoll talking to you about innovation in the government. And she's talking about sprints, right? In fact, this is one of the first times I've heard people in government talking about innovation in a very advanced way. When she talks about sprints, experience, design, she's talking about the modern edge of what innovation is. Sprints are, we're running sprints right now for one of our clients. And it's an 8-week sprint. And in 8 weeks, they have to crush a problem. They have to get immersed in it and get it done. And that's the best way to get people to be creatively confident, is give them a small challenge and let them try it out in a small confined area. Because if you tell people, I'm going to give you 18 months to be innovative, you have to be patient for 18 months. Like Immediata said, Mark from Immediata said, but you need to start delivering some quick results the next day, right? And that's done through sprints. So one of our clients, a startup, we went in 8 weeks from them simply having an idea behind a chemical formulation of something to an entirely new business with suppliers for it, with a brand for it, and a distribution plan. 8 weeks. You need to move fast. If you want people to be confident, let them try it out, but don't give them enough time to resist it. If you give people a year to do something, they'll use an entire year not to do it. If you give them 6 weeks, they'll deliver something, right? So that's the Paperclip Challenge. You guys took something very ordinary and made extraordinarily new ideas because you are willing to resist the urge to just do the normal and to be silly enough to say some of these things, right? So I leave you with some very last things in the last minute that I have, which is these are some things that we know help businesses innovate. One is what we call the 70% rule. If you have 70% of the information, make the decision and do something. If you've got 90% of the information, you waited too long, right? Businesses to innovate today need to take bigger risks, right? You need to try to learn, not to prove. You need to allow your people to learn along the way and make the mistakes. By allowing them to experiment, people become comfortable with saying things like, this idea is never going to work. Let's kill it, which is exactly what Google does. Every month, they put people on the stage and they applaud them for killing their own ideas and lead through questions. If you're a leader in your organization, quit giving the answers to people. Start giving the questions. Ask people, I don't understand this problem. Can you help me understand it better? Go out and understand it. I don't have an idea for this. Can you guys come up with an idea? You will be surprised about how everyday people in a company come up with extraordinary ideas if you just ask them a question, right? And finally, I tell you one little story and 3 little quotes. If you want to be an innovator, study jiu-jitsu, right? Why do I say it? Anyone know what jiu-jitsu is, right? Martial art, right? See, it's like a grappling art and stuff like that. Jiu-jitsu is the best way to understand business today. How many of you remember the Karate Kid, right? Remember? He had the crane move. He had wax on and wax off, right? But he had all these stagnant things, right? Businesses tend to think if you're the bigger, stronger guy who can hit harder, you're going to win. And that's not the truth of business today. Because Airbnb, Netflix, right? Uber, they're all jiu-jitsu fighters. Why? Because they're not bigger. They're smarter. They're more agile. They go with the flow. They try new things. And that is innovation. That's what makes innovation different. It makes you the person who conquers giants. I leave you these 3 quotes. One is from Margaret Mead. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has, and it is the thing that will save Puerto Rico, because if we lack money right now, one thing we don't lack is talent, right? We can innovate our way out of this, just like Alexandra told you at the very beginning of this. The other quote is, the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Como un isla, we need to learn new skills. We need to get comfortable with the uncomfortable, just like Alexandra told you, right? I mean, think about her uncomfort level. She went from what she was doing before to starting Emprende, to doing this conference. That must have been uncomfortable, but she did it anyway, right? And the last one is one that I take from Felix Baumgartner, who jumped from space. He says, the only thing standing between you and your goal is that bullshit story you keep telling yourself as to why you can't achieve it. If you want to innovate, if you want to do great things, just decide today to do it and start doing it. Thank you.